We all used to live together, and basically the band started in La Quinta, and Mario and his cousin Larry, we all lived together in the same house, and we all basically had the same idea, like no work and play all day, and most of the time we got to do that. Sometimes we had to work in between, but we always had this thing with, being lazy and just having a good time and not worry about anything else, but just basically what we're going to eat or what we're going to do for the night. And Boomer had the same mentality like us, so we kind of really, grew up together, and it's just been, I guess, a family thing. He could, play with us anytime, and it feel like we've been practicing for a long time, but it's just one of those things where we just coming together, and it's a part that we don't have with us, but for now, but in the future maybe something could sprout.
Me, Mario, and Alfredo, we've always had this like weird vibe between us three. Like when we jam, we just lock in. Basically, when Mario first started learning how to jam on guitar, I was with him, and he started playing like before me. Mario did when we were kids, and eventually, when he wasn't playing his guitar, I'd just start playing his guitar at his mom and dad's house, and that's where Alfredo came into the picture, and we played in a punk band together when we were in high school or kids, and kind of launched off from there. And I grew up in the desert. Playing punk rock was just kind of weird. We were like, there was only like maybe 10 of us in the whole place, and we listened to Black Flag, Minutemen, Saccharine Trust. There was like a record store, one in the whole town, and we would go there and we'd pick up like a Minutemen and compilations, and we'd kind of, that was our roots and that was our life right there. And
Well, there's just a small community of musicians that gathered around, and we basically just got kicked out of everywhere and pretty much played our own shows, and just as a way of staying out of trouble. But then again, the loud music would get us in trouble, and so we'd have to go far places like the desert and stuff, so people wouldn't complain about us.
like being in my high school in the desert and being a punker, we got in a lot of fights. A lot of people didn't like us. And eventually, it's kind of funny how punk rock kind of made like a full turn, because first, in the early 80s, me and Alfredo, Mario, and a bunch of other of us, we were like into the punk scene. And it's funny how like years later, now punk rock's like the big money maker. And back then, if you were a punker, you got your ass beat pretty much.
Yeah, I guess we just played a lot of music that wasn't out there, so we kind of had to create something that we want to listen to. So it was like using the elements of punk rock and jazz and all sorts of stuff. We basically came up with our own sounds, and here we are. And we enjoy playing almost anywhere we can go. People let us in, we'll play, and that's what we've been doing for the last 25 years, basically.
Yeah, back in the old days, the desert wasn't built up, so the desert was like a wide open area. So we could just pick any place we wanted close to the mountains and just play. And back then, it was more like open, but now it's built up. People are coming in from like these other areas, and they're building homes in the desert because it's like a nice area. Now it's lost. Now there's no desert left. There is no desert anymore. Yeah, there's a lot of restrictions. So if you hear any band saying that they play in the desert now, it's not true, because there's no desert. It's built up, it's tract housing, and it's sad because that was where we were born, we played, and we loved, and it's kind of a bummer. It's like watching your mom being killed or something. The news colony is kind of cool because it was kind of like our music, because Yawning Man never fit any rules, or we never try to set any trends, or we were never, trying to we were never trying to like sound like anybody else or kissing people's asses. We just did what we did because we were like isolated from everybody else. And the newest colony kind of was that way too. It was kind of a weird freak place, and people enjoyed it. People enjoyed it. People came up and watched us, and they enjoyed it, as well as other bands from the desert. There was a lot of other local bands, not besides us, but there was other bands back, like early on. But there was other places towards other sides of the desert that we also played at, called the Iron Door logo. Yeah, it was called the Iron Door, and that was a really cool place. It was like a flat piece of desert, and it was just in the night time, like the moon was out and the stars, and man, it was just awesome. It was an awesome place, and it's gone now. It's being built up, tract housing, and like I said before, it's terrible what's happened to the desert. It's like, yeah, yeah, that whole scene's gone, man. It'll never be recaptured. That whole area is gone. It's zoned off. They don't even let people out there anymore. It's sad.
I think the surroundings with the open space and just the freedom, the environment, there's a lot of freedom, and I guess that's probably just takes you to a spot in your mind where you just can spew out and make it work between band members. And the idea from the desert parties came from a friend of ours, Dave Travis from LA. They used to put on these generator parties out in the hills of Los Angeles. And I think it just, from that, going back to our side of the world, I think it was a different world, and it was just, we do it in the daytime, sometimes at night, but it had just a different vibe because it wasn't so crowded, with concrete. It was more, real landscape.
The music of Yawning Man, the way I look at it is, it's like trying to explain to a person of where we live at. So when we're playing live or we're jamming, we're basically, it's like an audio, a visual thing basically is the way we're trying to or we're not trying, but that's just the way the music comes out. It's just natural. It's just in us. And a lot of that jamming came from the fact that we'd be out in the wide open spaces and just like the openness of the desert. There was no gates, there was no fences. We just let ourselves go, and we didn't care if there was one person or 100 people in front of us. It just didn't matter. It just mattered that we were just out there, and we had beers, and we had the wide open sky, and man, everything else just didn't matter to us. Yawning Man's never really had songs. They've always been themes. I've never really looked at the Yawning Man as songs. They're always themes, because every time we play, we could always take one song and look at each other, and we'll just make that song last for an hour. It doesn't matter. So it's just an expression, I guess. It's just a way of expression, and bands that write songs are bands that are 4/4/8/4/8. We've never even followed any kind of writing rules. We've never written rules. There's never been rules in our music. We've just done what we wanted to do, and that all comes from punk rock when we were younger. The emotions and the expression never has changed after all these years. It's never going to change. I could be 80 years old and I'm still going to look up at the sky and still feel the same way. Just because you get older doesn't mean your heart changes. I could be hit over the head by a hammer and I'm never going to have different views on music. And I can't play any other type of music, because I would feel like an asshole, because it's not it's not in your heart. I don't know. It's just not in my heart, I guess. And I hear bands that are good, and I hear other stuff, but but it has to be coming from your heart. It has to be have to have soul, and I don't know what to say, man. I've always been that way, and Alfredo, and Mario and Larry and Billy, we've all done our own thing. It's just all about just being yourself, and that's why I guess Yawning Man is what it is, basically.
These guys are definitely inspirational. They inspired me and a lot of different musicians in the desert, and it's definitely opened my mind to listening to different music and just trying anything. You don't really have to follow any guidelines to music at all. It's just what your soul and what you feel inside, and that's what makes it beautiful, to be able to be in a place with friends and be able to play music that just comes straight from your soul. That's the way to go, I think. No guidelines. Don't try to be like anybody else. Don't try to play music just because it sells. Play from your heart. That's all that really matters.
Yeah, I think it's kind of cool that if they hear Yawning Man and if they feel something, then that's awesome, man. Because I feel and stuff every time I play. So if they feel, then that's awesome. Because then they're feeling like my emotion or whatever, and they're feeling the way that we jam, and it's just I guess then that those guys have, I guess the people that have heard us and they feel that way about us, then they've jumped on our boat and they understand our trip.
They're listening.
Yeah, and they're listening to us. They're actually like sitting there and they've thrown all the crap out of their heads and they're just doing, and they're going, okay, man, I see what these guys are doing. You know, I can tell what these guys are at, and it's a cool place, and I like it.
You know, it's like we play music with good feelings and good vibes, and it almost comes out as like thinking music, you know, something that people can either get motivated with, or they can think about something and do something, go write a story or whatever with what they're listening to. So we kind of like, I don't know, it does make us feel young, like nothing's really changed. It's only time. That's about it. But we're still here and we're healthy, and it adds a lot to have done that full circle. It really.
Yeah, it's kind of cool because I know that when I'm dead and old, and Alfredo and Mario, we're all going to probably be in some weird place in the desert in some old folks' home, looking at each other, going like, "Fuck, dudes, we like started, we were playing, we were kids, and look what we got to, and we got this music, we got vinyl, we got this, we got that, we got memories, we got photographs, and I think that's more important like than anything because, like we're best friends, and I mean, there's nothing more that you could ask for than playing with your friends and having memories. I mean, it's all you could ever ask for in life, and
We have Bill that's been around. We like to dedicate, this tour. One of our good friends, Randy Rentazzo from back home, he used to play percussion for us back in the 88, 89. And he was a good listener and a good artist. And he was just always into, traveling with us and having a good time. And we had a little, he had a mishap, and, we ended up losing him. So it's just something that we kind of brings us back with those memories that we had with him. And, we'd like to dedicate this tour, to him and his family and everybody back home that knew him. So that's it.